Why did medieval alchemists consistently fail to create gold? Imagine a world where turning lead into gold was possible with just the right mixture of herbs, stones, and mystical symbols. That was the dream of medieval alchemists. They believed they could unlock hidden secrets of matter and transform base metals into precious gold. But despite centuries of effort, they never succeeded. So, what kept them from achieving this goal? Let's explore the fascinating reasons behind their repeated failures. Back then, their ideas about how matter worked were based on symbols, myths, and spiritual beliefs, not scientific facts. They thought metals were alive and grew in the earth, much like plants or animals. They believed that with the right ritual or potion, they could coax a metal like lead into becoming gold. But they had no understanding of atoms or the tiny particles that make up matter. They didn't know that each element has a specific number of protons in its nucleus, which defines what it is. Changing one element into another requires altering the number of protons in an atom's nucleus. This process is called nuclear transmutation. It is extremely complex and requires nuclear reactions that only modern science can perform today. Medieval alchemists lacked the tools, knowledge, and technology to do this. Their methods, like heating substances or mixing powders, could change how metals looked or mixed, but they could not change the fundamental atomic structure. Another reason they failed is how they viewed metals. They saw gold as the perfect, most mature metal, like a fully grown person. They thought that with enough patience and the right conditions, they could turn lesser metals into gold, similar to how a seed grows into a plant. This idea was rooted in natural philosophy and religious symbolism, not in scientific fact. Their worldview combined spiritual beliefs, mystical ideas, and early experiments, but it was missing the atomic understanding we have today. Their experiments were limited to physical and chemical reactions. They could create alloys or change the appearance of metals, but they could not produce real gold from other metals. The energy needed to change the number of protons in an atom's nucleus was far beyond what they could achieve with their tools. Nuclear physics, which explains how atoms can be changed, was still centuries away. In the context of their culture and religion, alchemy was more about spiritual growth and self-improvement than just making money. The quest for gold symbolized the search for perfection and enlightenment. They believed that transforming metals reflected transforming the soul. This spiritual aspect influenced their approach and made them focus more on mystical rituals than on scientific methods. In summary, medieval alchemists failed to create gold because their ideas were based on symbolism and mysticism, not on scientific knowledge of atoms or nuclear reactions. Their tools and understanding simply weren't enough to change one element into another. Their pursuit was driven by spiritual and philosophical beliefs, not by the practical science needed to perform nuclear transmutation. Their efforts reflected a time when science, religion, and philosophy were closely intertwined, shaping their hopes and experiments.